Deborah Tannen, 1991, wrote an article called Asymmetries. It's a gender studies article discussing two various styles of communication between men and women. She says there's a type of communication that women typically use called symmetrical communication, or one that is trying to establish a connection between the two people. So say in a correspondence between two women, one woman will tell of a problem or a trouble, and the other woman will respond by sharing a similar experience. Essentially what she's trying to say to her is, we're the same, you're not alone in this. Brings comfort to both women, and that's, a way of kind of going through the process. Men have a similar type of symmetrical communication. However, they do it in a way that seems almost asymmetrical, where one guy will tell the other guy his issue, and his friend will respond by saying, no, your feeling is invalid, you're wrong, essentially you're better than that, don't get yourself down, that's not even real, don't worry about it. And so from the outside it can look like it's asymmetrical, which is the second type of communication that she's describing here, where you get sort of a disconnect or kind of a status, one person appearing better than the other person. So essentially her discussion or her argument is that the correspondence between men and women, and most of the problems that they have in dealing with one another, especially around their troubles and bringing issues to each other, is that people feel devalued. There's sort of an asymmetrical dynamic that appears, mostly because women and men bring their own personal style that they share within their own gender to the opposite gender. So for example, a man bringing his problem to a woman, she would respond by telling of a similar story of her own. A man might feel discounted or insulted because he feels like, why are you telling me your problem? How does this help me? On the opposite end, a woman might bring her problem to a man, and instead of sharing in a similar experience to kind of show a connection, he responds by trying to offer advice or trying to discount her feelings, which she feels, very belittled and doesn't want her problem fixed, quote unquote. She wants it to be worked through, or she just wants to be listened to and heard. So, like I said, most of the problems that occur between men and women in communication or discussing issues is around this notion of symmetry and asymmetry. So what we find, or what Tannen found when she looked a little bit closer, is that normative practice in society is for women to feel honored to receive help and to ask questions, and for men to give advice or to give help or encouragement when they have it. And so in both scenarios, people from opposite genders will go out of their way to solicit these things. This kind of explains why men won't ask for directions when they're lost, and the like. It's essentially that they believe by asking a question, it puts one person higher in status than the other person, and obviously you don't want to be less powerful than the next man or whatnot. Although this brings up some very interesting points, and it also indicates areas where plausible miscommunication occurs, I don't think that it's the whole picture, obviously. These are gross generalizations and stereotypes of men and women, and what I found is that really what she's pointing to are masculine and feminine traits that are embodied in both genders. So the woman has aspects of masculinity within her, and vice versa. Men have aspects of femininity, and so in communication, instead of being very rigid within the normative gender lines, I think we can be more effective as people, especially when listening to one another and offering advice and encouraging others to move through their troubles, is to, at times embody the opposite gender. listen for men. Listen to a woman talk about her problems. Perhaps try to build a connection by sharing a problem of your own, and work from there. Women, it might be beneficial for you to offer advice to men. If they're sensitive of being put in a power structure and they don't want their status to feel threatened, then work around that. Try to find ways to either address that insecurity, because it is truly an insecurity. We can't this idea of status and power to determine our lives is really a false notion that we've adopted for too long. We can't go through it without each other. We do need each other's advice. We do need each other's help to be successful in the world. And so, I think these tools or these styles of communication that Tannen have laid out can help us in understanding the opposite gender, help us understanding why communication might have gone wrong, and then working from there. So thank you very much for listening to this video journal.